Hey y'all, is that too loud? How's it going? This is episode 70. I recorded this last night, Sunday. Wasn't able to get back in time to upload it because we have a new open mic on Sundays, So I'm uploading it today, Monday afternoon. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Hope you enjoy this episode. I had on Jeremy DeLara. He is a returning man. He's a very introspective guy. He talked about all the struggles he's gone through in life and his faith, and he's just a very interesting man to talk to. He's a musician. I'll leave some links for you to follow him. And we just had a really great discussion. I always enjoy this man's company. He's very interesting, a lot of fun to talk to. And anyway, you know who the ads are brought to you by. Spitefully Spicy. Go to Instagram /Spitefully Spicy. They've got like 30 different flavors on that thing. You're going to love it. It's delicious. It's very enjoyable. And then we've got Dragster Tubes. Telescopic Paparosa Tubes. Go to dragstertubes.com. You can find them at Green Gorilla, Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere they're sold, man. For tobacco products, roll them up. Just plain, it's already rolled. It's pre-rolled for you. Works like a straw. You can extend it. You can suck up the tobacco in there and just light it, It's easy. It's convenient. And it's at a great price. Go to dragstertubes.com. And as always, no third lane. The website is still down, guys. But no third lane. I will keep plugging you. Come back to me. I miss you. NoThirdLane.com. Lifestyle brand, okay? They have a big project coming up. They're revamping the website. It's going to be killer. They also designed t-shirts. They designed our Yellow City Comedy shirts. We're going to get some koozies. We're going to get some hoodies. All kinds of merch. All kinds of stuff so you can spend your money on it, and help us look good. We'll help you look good if you help us look good. We scratch your back, you scratch ours type thing. Anyway, please enjoy episode 70 of the podcast, Jeremy DeLara. And here is an intro by Black Sheep.
Yeah, God, I know I've been away. I know you're mad about the things I used to say. I'm feeling bad, yeah, I'm really in a way. Only time I pray is when I need you, I'm ashamed. I really hope that you can see what's in my heart. I'm fighting demons and they keep me in the dark. I fight the feeling, but I fiend to be a star. But you created who we are. I'm just trying to make amends. I can't promise being perfect. Cursing at the ceiling all because just how the shirt fit. I'll express my feelings and I wonder if it's worth it. Burdened with the dreams and how it seems that's how you hurt me. Made me want some things I can see I don't deserve it. Made me make the changes, did some things to keep it working. Drowning in the flames, I'm trying to think of how to word it. Devil on my brain and I can never seem to curb it. You know that I'm selfish cause I think of me a lot. Always want to help but people see me as a snob. Focused on my wealth but I was greedy from the start. How do I excel if you ain't...
Not very often though,
Yeah.
So let's get it started.
Were we going then?
No, we weren't.
Oh, okay.
But we can go.
Okay, I'm cool either way.
Go.
Fine. Yeah.
This is how I start. I don't even say anything. I just say go.
Yeah.
Just went.
I thought the yerba mate thing was us going, and I was already kind of on, but wasn't sure.
Oh, you were on?
I wasn't sure.
We can go back. We can restart. What are you drinking?
It's a yerba mate. It's a yerba mate. It's a organic tea energy drink.
You should. That was hot. You should buy as many of those as you can before they, stop making them.
Right. Yeah.
Because no one knows about them.
Nobody knows about them.
Nobody. Yeah. Nobody's familiar.
Yeah. Where'd you hear about that?
I was in Jamaica, I believe.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, and they have those around. Not in Jamaica, but just around the world.
Oh,
certain parts.
But in Jamaica, they talked about it.
Yeah, I was on a plane, and Jamaican guys were like,
okay.
"Hey man, Obamata man, never heard of it."
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was wild. It was crazy. The world's a small place, really, when you think about it. Everyone knows each other.
Yeah,
I think.
I bet you I know the guy you were talking to on the plane.
I mean, yeah. Someone told me if you know 5 people, you know everyone. I don't know if that's true, but something like that. There's like some statistic where if you know a certain number of people, they know a certain number of people, and those people know them, and then it never ends.
Yeah, it's the whole 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Like, that's like actually a thing, I think, where if you trace back the amount of people you can trace back to through 6 people. At least one of them has met or known Kevin Bacon at some point.
Why Kevin Bacon?
I don't know, because I guess he gets around.
Wow, it's impressive. I'm glad he doesn't have AIDS.
He might have AIDS.
He might have AIDS. Shout out to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
This is a Kevin Bacon special.
Rest in peace, Kevin.
Sizzle. It's a good name.
Kevin Bacon?
Bacon.
Do you think that's his real name?
I don't know. I never thought of that.
I always Google that because I want to know like if these people's names are, or if it's like it's like Kevin, and it's some like Polish or Jewish name or something. Because a lot of actors change their names.
Oh yeah, that's true. It'd be a weird stage name.
Kevin Bacon.
Just change it to Bacon because I love pork.
It'd be ironic if he was like Jewish and he changed his name.
That'd be super ironic.
And he changed it to Kevin Bacon.
What if that's probably what happened.
He threw off the scent of his Jewiness.
It was Bastion. Is that, I don't know if that's Jewish, but
that sounds French.
They switched it to Bacon to hide from the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, there's no Jews with the name Bacon. That'd be crazy,
Right.
said Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they duped him.
Yeah.
Do you know he's still alive?
Hitler?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
He might. I don't know.
He might be.
They never found his body. They've never confirmed Hitler's death.
Oh well.
And a lot of Nazis moved to Argentina, so he might be.
He might be there.
Yeah, he might be chilling.
Is that where Tupac moved to? Was it Argentina?
Tupac actually moved to heaven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so Tupac's actually dead. Actually dead. Okay. I wasn't sure if he was one that survived. Wouldn't that be strange if Tupac and Hitler were like chilling on the same island?
That'd be cool, man. I'd definitely believe in the Illuminati at that point.
Like, what if Hitler like after all of the Nazi stuff, like he like
Converted?
Yeah, he was just like, you know what, that was a really bad idea. I shouldn't have done that.
What if he's just Buddhist now?
Yeah, and he and
So
Tupac
they
are
take it all
chilling,
back.
and Tupac's like, man, you've come a long way, Hitler.
Do you
He's
think-
like, I know Tupac.
Do you think they'd forgive him?
No.
I feel like everyone would forgive Hitler, but then they'd see like a tweet from 2003 and be like, no, he's canceled.
Yeah. Yes. And then everyone in the world would have to reconcile with the fact that for some reason we haven't noticed Hitler tweeting for the last almost 20 years.
He's gone under a different name.
Yeah. It's a troll account.
Have you heard of George Soros?
It's a political
Yeah, I feel like
icon.
everyone talks about him like he's Hitler. Like, oh,
Yeah.
he's pulling all the strings.
Yeah, they talked a lot about Soros when Obama was in office.
Yeah. What's his name? Alex Jones would always bring up Soros.
Yeah.
And then every time I'd see a conspiracy theory, like with Obama, with the Democrats, it'd be like, oh, he's running the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
George Soros.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's I don't think I've ever seen his face, but I've heard his name
Yeah.
a lot.
I think he's probably Hitler in disguise. Disguised as a Jew.
That'd be the best disguise
Right?
for Hitler.
I really would. Shout out to Hitler.
Rest in peace. Sizzle.
Kevin Bacon and Hitler.
It all works.
So they're connected. If you know Kevin Bacon, you also know Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kevin Bacon and Hitler used to chill.
Yeah,
So
with Tupac and George Soros.
and George Soros,
They're all connected.
Joe Biden probably.
There's 4 people right there, and then if you include me and you, there's the 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon.
Ooh, 33rd degree Mason.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? You're gonna get into every conspiracy theory.
Perfect. The reptilians are somehow involved in that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
A couple years ago, I had to spend the night in the Denver airport.
Really?
Yeah, because I was going to this like school once a month in Washington, and the first month I went was in May, and it snowed, so they snowed us in, and they said we couldn't come back. So I wound up getting stuck in the Denver airport, and I didn't know anything about the Denver airport at the time. And then this cowboy, like sitting next to me, who was also flying back to Rillo, started telling this other guy the whole story about how, you know, the Denver airport is allegedly the like headquarters for the reptilian race. They planted that there for them to come back. And
Obviously.
there's all these mosaic paintings all over the airport and stuff. And
there's a giant horse with red eyes.
yeah,
Did you see that?
I didn't. I tried to avoid all of that because I had to sleep there.
Mm-hmm.
They offered like hotel vouchers, but I would have had to come back like 4 hours later. I was like, I'll just find a floor somewhere. But then I heard that story, and I got incredibly freaked. I get freaked out about a lot of things. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
scary stories and stuff
But yeah,
bug me.
me and my mom. My mom's a big conspiracy theorist lady. She thinks the Earth is flat. But
Does she really?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she'll always send me shit on Facebook about how like McDonald's is putting kids in their meat.
Yeah.
And how George Bush's father and what was the other guy? The other guy that just died. John McCain. They were like, oh, they were war criminals and they had to be executed, but they made it look like they were dying. I was like, Mom, can we not do this in public? But anyway, we went to the Denver airport and just to look around because we'd seen like videos and stuff. And yeah, that giant horse, the guy that built it, that sculpted it, the horse fell on him and he died. He like bled out. He got cut and bled out.
Oh wow.
But they still like put it up and everything, and all those mosaics are super creepy. They show like the guys with the gas masks and all the kids, and I don't really know what that represents.
It's all terrifying to me, and
Yeah.
I had to sleep in there, and by myself, and I think that was like the first time I'd really traveled on my own for that like long period of time, and yeah, I hated it because that guy told the story and was like, "Well, see you later," and like. I'm like, okay.
See you later.
It's just I had to find a place in this terrifying airport now. And then I had to go back there for 6 more months.
Did you hear any weird noises?
No, but a bird like landed on me while I was asleep.
Oh, that's a sign.
And he just like slept on, like sat on my shoulder while I was asleep.
It was protecting you.
Yeah, I have to imagine because the reptilians are everywhere.
Yeah, the birds will protect you. There's there used to be like a whole bird versus reptilian battle.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
well,
know
I
if you
think
knew
they
about
both
it.
like they're arguing as to who is actually descendants of the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Because for a long time we thought they were lizard-like, but then people were like, you know what, dinosaurs actually had feathers. They're more descendants of birds.
Yeah,
And-
chickens are dinosaurs for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay,
Savage
can we
little
come back to the
bastards.
kids meal thing because you said that your mom thinks they put kids in the meat,
I don't know if she still believes it, but for a while there, she was like, "Don't go to McDonald's.
but that's hilarious,
There's
right?
kids in there."
That gives a new meaning to kids meal. Like when you order a kids meal, it's literally a kids meal.
Yes, Ronald McDonald, you cannibal bastard.
Yeah.
And she was like Hillary Clinton. She was sick during the campaign, because of cannibalism.
Because of cannibalism. Oh my
Yeah, that's the only
gosh.
logical explanation.
Yeah, not cannibalism.
Which I mean, I'm like I could see there being like some demonic, ritual things going on in the upper rooms of the government, whatever, celebrities.
Yeah.
But I can't just put all my faith into just like, yep. I can't just that's all real.
Oh,
You know?
sure. Well, that just made me think about. I was talking to a friend of mine. Actually, it was after the Valentine's show. We were talking about the movie Eyes Wide Shut. Have you ever seen that?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I haven't. I've seen the parts that most people would have seen, which because it's famously it's a Nicole Kidman film. She gets naked in it. So I've seen the important parts of the movie.
Probably B cups,
Yeah, but I don't remember. It's been a while.
A
but,
cups. Go with A
anyway,
cups.
the point of the movie is like there's this whole thing of there's like this sex society of I don't know the entire like story of it, but like basically the director came to the production company and was like, hey, I want to make this movie. I want complete creative control. So he made it, and it's like exploring like this sort of like upper like class of people who they basically organize these like sex cults basically. And there's a story that the production company came to them and said, hey, you need to cut like 30 minutes off of this film because like apparently it was so accurate to stuff that was actually happening in Hollywood. And he wouldn't do it.
They would have killed him.
That's what happened. He died.
He died?
He died.
The director?
After post-production of the movie.
Whoa.
He died, and the company wound up taking control of the movie, cutting it down, and releasing the movie. And a lot of people think that the production company had him killed.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that being a huge conspiracy theory. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Especially because all that sex cult started coming out recently, like with that girl from Smallville and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
That was super weird.
So, it's strange.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe there's something going on there. But you can't just base everything on YouTube and be like, yeah. I mean, I think what happens is what happened with my mom, what happened with me when I was younger, when I was in high school, and I was in the Illuminati thing, watching hours of footage. Like, there's truth to certain things, but then once that door opens, once you open that door, you can't close it, and then it just becomes a whole flood of information, and then you're like, oh, well, this is also real, and that's real, and that's real, and now nothing's real. Now I don't believe anything, but I believe everything. And then it's like you have to like decipher what's complete bullshit and what might have a little bit of truth to it.
Right.
Which is damn near impossible. So
yeah, especially now. Like there was a time where it was a lot easier because the amount of information we were receiving was a lot less. But now we literally have access to everything, and we're so reliant upon like the internet to give us all of that information.
Yeah, I used to be able to Google something and just pull up the first website and be like, okay, this is accurate. But now I have to be like, oh, is this? If it's political, I have to be like, oh, it's MSNBC, CNN, Fox. I got to skip over the first 5 so I can go find out what the actual what the actual truth is. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Google is so strange because it's like more about like what is going to be financially beneficial for everybody to be in the top 5 of the SEO of Google. So like you're going to get more clicks on an MSNBC or CNN or Fox, which gets more ad revenue for Google, which gets more ad revenue for those companies. Like media is so motivated. I really do think that's why the president became president, was because it was more financially beneficial for news outlets to talk about him than to talk about legit candidates, because more people were watching because they wanted to see how absurd it was.
Like nobody watches CNN unless they're covering Trump.
Yeah.
And that's why they do it, what they do.
Right.
They got him elected just by covering him every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Sold ads on it, So, yeah.
But I saw like that whole Russian thing. They just admitted that they didn't have anything, and they spent like 2 years, I don't know, 3 years doing that shit.
CNN?
Yeah, or it was like someone in the FBI.
Oh, really?
Like Andrew McCabe or something.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we don't have any evidence of collusion, but we don't have any evidence of their not collusion. Dude.
Oh, man.
Wrap it up.
Golly. Well, I mean, that's good, though. There's clarity, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, all of that's... I truthfully, after the election, I sort of just stopped. Even during the election, like, once the Republican Party got whittled down to, like, the last 4, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, man. Which I look back at my old Facebook, and when Obama first got elected, talk about confirmation bias. Like, I look at old posts from when Obama was about to get elected, and I was making communist
threats.
Well, I was making comments about like him being like a communist and a socialist, and like, oh, Obamunism and all this stuff. Like I was leaning incredibly right, but a lot of it's because my mom was right leaning. She watched Fox News and stuff.
I was the same way. I think I actually went for Obama just to be different from the rest of my family.
Yeah.
I went through that phase, but I still didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Right.
I was just throwing things out there.
Yeah, I was up until after the first term of Obama's presidency. After that, after spending like 4 years of, I was just like really embarrassing because like I'm completely different than the 2008 me. Yeah, which makes sense.
Everyone is.
It was just kind of like when I look back, I'm like, did I really sound like that's shit that I would have, like, people say now, like as if it's nothing, but back then it felt so insane. Like now that's what everybody is saying, all these like brash like generalizations, and they claim it as like a strong political stance. But like I had nothing to back up why I thought Obama was a communist.
Yeah, and most people don't have anything to back up their insane Facebook statuses.
Yeah. So it's just the only difference is people weren't so. It wasn't so normalized to have these huge debates in the comment section.
Yeah.
So fortunately, all those posts were like no one liked or commented on it. So it was just me just screaming into nothing.
People were much less aggressive.
Yep.
Which I don't know.
Outrage culture has gotten pretty bad for the last 5 years.
Did you hear about the Jussie Smollett guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he pretty much ended up faking that whole thing.
Yeah.
But there was a post a guy made on Facebook. He was like, I'm tired of these MAGA people. If you know any MAGA people, don't talk to them, block them. This is bullshit. Fuck you if you're one of them. And it's just like, it all ended up being fake. And
right.
It's just like, you went off.
Right.
For literally no reason.
Right. Well, and what it does also is it sort of honestly discredits the people who might actually have some sort of issue with that particular flavor of conservatism. Because there was some other thing where people were having a really hard time with. Oh, it was the whole that protest where those kids from that Catholic school were at for a pro-life movement.
That was bad.
That whole thing was awful, but like people didn't understand like why are people so mad at these red hats? And it's like, well, it's sort of like I understand that it's important to give that group of people their freedom to speak as much as the left, like they should. But they're also, for me, what I found is the loud people that wear those hats are incapable of understanding and being empathetic. That to some people, that hat is it is a symbol of a lot of really awful people and how people have been treated. And they're just kind of incapable of understanding that. The same way I think the left is incapable of understanding that not everybody who wears those red hats are pieces of shit. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the thing that a lot of people are missing is this kind of ability to be empathetic and to understand. Like, when I see someone wearing one of those hats, I'm like, I have to kind of check myself, because immediately I'm like frustrated and I'm like, this person is probably a huge bigot. But that may not necessarily be the case. And I think if everyone could maybe take a second to like breathe, we'd have less of these big stories where people outrage for no reason. Because that whole thing was nothing happened.
Not at all.
There was nothing
Not
at all
even
happening.
slightly.
Like, I wanted to punch that kid in the face because of just how smug he looked, but that was because that was the only thing he knew to do.
Yeah.
Like, he probably shouldn't have just stood there. Like, he probably could have walked away or whatever. But then all of that, plus the Native American guy just kind of jumping into a thing that wasn't even his thing.
And then lying about everything.
Right.
What a douchebag.
Right. Yeah.
He lied about being in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I miss the stories of, like...
Probably paid by Soros.
Oh, Hitler. Do you remember that story of that homeless dude who had, like, the radio voice? I can't remember his name. But he's called the homeless man with the golden
and then
voice.
They let him go, like, announce for the Knicks, I think.
Yeah, they gave him, like, this job and stuff, and that was really nice. I think he wound up, like, relapsing or something. But
Did he? Because I was going to ask. I never know what happened to that
He
guy.
kind of disappeared, didn't he? But I just... That story itself was really sweet. And I miss things like that. There's not a lot of that going on anymore.
That's true. It doesn't get clicks.
It really doesn't. People can't get angry at that. So,
Oh.
yeah.
But yeah, that thing, people went in on that kid, man. Without knowing the story at all.
They did.
That's
I
the
mean, I
problem
did
with social
too.
media.
Well, because I saw it on Reddit first. I saw that GIF. It was on the subreddit Punchable Faces, I think is what it was called. And it was just like that video of the kid just standing there with what's his name playing the drum.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, that is a pretty punchable face. But it really, like, when you think about it, it's because, and I'll own it, like, the media's conditioned me to see a white kid wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah.
And even with that, like, smirk on his face, and immediately assume that kid's an asshole.
Yeah. I mean,
Easily.
it's easy to do.
So it's like, of course, some people are going to react that way before the story hits. But then everything started coming out, and it was like, okay, good.
But
Let's own that.
Whenever I see someone in a MAGA hat, I just think, oh, you're really brave. Like,
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Especially Kanye.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. That guy.
That's funny, though.
I will say, Lift Yourself, that track with the poopity scoop stuff, still fire.
I love that beat.
I really liked it. But yeah.
I love a lot of his music. I can't ever hate on Kanye.
Yeah.
I won't ever do it. I refuse. Like, I used to back him when everyone called him a douchebag for when he, like, interrupted Taylor Swift. Like, I've been defending him since then, so I'm not going to stop defending him now.
Sure.
Like, I'm down for Kanye. He's a legend in my book.
I can't remember who was it that he did a interview with damn it.
Was it Charlemagne?
Yeah, did you watch that interview?
Yeah, I watched that one.
That for me is where I was like, okay, I see this guy's going through some stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And he the problem is he is like the top of the top when it comes to celebrity. So he doesn't have space to work through these things. And he probably at this point doesn't know how to work through these things privately.
Yeah.
He has to work through them in the public eye. Yeah. And people aren't prepared for that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't really think he's real versed in politics or policies or anything like that. I think he just sees Trump being a billionaire, and he kind of sees that same energy in himself, just being like the
totally.
trying to be like a brash leader. You know, like Trump has good qualities and he also has horrible ones, but there's some good takeaways you can take from him as far as like, you know, the way he runs things.
Yeah.
Because he's successful in a lot of ways. And people are just like, oh, he's gone bankrupt like 5 times. He failed businesses. He's still a fucking billionaire, dude. What are you talking about?
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah.
People act like, oh, he just inherited his billions. Like, he got millions. But still, not anyone can just turn $1 million into $1 billion.
No, yeah,
like
you're right.
People win the jackpot and they go bankrupt immediately. Like,
yeah.
They're dead now, you know?
Right, right, yeah. Yeah, no, that's true, you know. I never think about that just because I see him as the bumbling oaf that he does come across as. And so that's kind of hard to... But no, that is true. You know, he is... Even if we just look at the election, like, the guy did something pretty phenomenal.
He took over a whole party.
Yeah. I don't even really think that he truthfully lines up with. He doesn't. He knew that would be the party he could win in. Mm-hmm. He played it. He played the system really, really well.
And now all these politicians are like being pressured. They're like, all the voters are being like, oh, are you supporting Trump? Are you backing him? Are you backing Trump? Because if not, we're not going to vote for you.
Yeah.
So now it's like they have to jump onto Trump's train or they're not getting reelected.
Right. Which is kind of scary because Trump tends to play. It seems like he tends to play the extremes.
Definitely.
So what that has done, that's probably my biggest well, there's a lot of complaints I have about him, but my biggest complaint is that he's sort of enabled the like sort of radical right, and which is a pendulum swing because we're starting to see the left sort of taking that mantle for a few years.
And the left has a much bigger presence, like just in the media.
Well, yeah, that's very true.
The people on the right don't really have anything except for InfoWars and Steven Crowder, Daily Wire. But
John Voight.
Yeah, there's really not a lot.
Tim Allen.
Yeah. Nothing too major.
Well, the
left runs Hollywood.
Any celebrity that's right leaning, they get crucified.
Yeah.
Like look at Chris Pratt for instance.
Like say
that dude is comes across as an incredibly good, humble dude.
Great guy.
But he just so happened to attend a church that probably is just holding to like
the biblical standards of a church.
Right, exactly. And, and I completely, because I watched Ellen Page, I watched that whole thing she did on Colbert.
Yeah, calm the fuck down, Ellen Page.
Yeah, and I understood what she was saying because I've met people my mom works, she's gay, she works in the LGBT community. I have a lot of friends who are in that. I mean, I think we both have run into a lot of people that are part of that crowd. So I can understand some of their fear and their frustration. And then to have a platform like that, she said a lot of things that I understood and could empathize with and sometimes related to. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if Chris Pratt and his church is where you're going to see that change.
Yeah.
The same way that I don't think like for churches or conservatives or evangelicals or whatever, I don't necessarily think that they're going to see the change in the avenues they're trying to make the change happen, which I think is like legislative. I don't think you can legislate something that truthfully is probably more a moral issue than it is anything.
Yeah.
It's all about the heart and meeting someone where they're particularly at.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. They attack Chris Pratt for that. They attack Mike Pence for that because his wife works at a church or something.
Yeah.
A church school. And they attack Chick-fil-A, which is the best place on the planet.
Oh, yeah. I love Chick-fil-A.
But it's like, Chick-fil-A has never hated towards anyone. Like,
right.
They say they donate money towards anti-LGBT things, but it's just because they're donating money to Christian organizations because they are a Christian organization.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, you can't, I understand where they're coming from, but you can't just condemn a whole religion. Mm-hmm. It just seems way too far.
It's hard. Well, it's the same. I think it's similar to, I would have to assume that a lot of folks in the LGBTQ community don't want to be generalized because like you have such a wide spectrum of people that are dealing with, first of all, sexuality, but then on top of that, now gender identity.
Yeah, it's a huge spectrum.
There's all of these different things. And so for us to just say, well, all LGBTQ people do this, you know what I mean? Like, or because of a certain organization that they're a part of, all those kinds of people are that. But I have to imagine that there's some people in the LGBT that don't hold to the progressive ideas of gender, but they are still queer, or they're still, you know, they're still attracted to someone of the same sex. But they're like, no, a male is a male, a female is a female. I just so happen to be attracted to females, right? Not all gay people are probably going to hold, but I think, I don't know, man. I'm a cisgendered straight man. You know what I mean? Like I try not to speak too much about it, even though my mom's gay. You know, I don't fully understand all of it, but it's similar. I don't think anybody wants to be generalized, but then we're all generalizing anybody who's not us.
That's true.
And that's really, I don't know how to deal with that. I mean, there's no.
I think the only way to deal with it is just to go meet everyone you disagree with.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I think that's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Because I used to be way more conservative with things, and then I met more gay people, and I was like, oh, I just didn't know gay people. I just didn't know.
Right.
I was just ignorant for most of my life.
Yeah, and when I've reconnected with my biological mom, that was a huge thing because I am still a part of a church that does hold to that sort of traditional idea of gender and sexuality and everything, and I you know, for the most part still kind of lean that way. But when you meet someone and you get really close to them, for me it was my mom, and you start to see these people that are going through this really this experience that there for a long time there wasn't a lot of people equipped to help that person navigate through it.
Yeah.
You tend to be more compassionate, and so despite maybe what I happen to maybe belief wise hold to, I can still kind of love a person even if they don't hold that same belief, and actually probably help to advocate for them. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I don't know.
I feel that. Everybody just wants to be loved at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's really all it's about, man. Just gotta, stop yelling at each other.
Right. That's really the first thing.
But what was your school you were going to in Washington?
It was actually a school. It was called the Worship School. So it was this
A school of warships?
Yeah, warships. Yeah. I was studying all old Civil War ships and things like that. No, it was a school for worship leaders and music. So I'd go once a month for like 6 months to Spokane, Washington, and worked with a bunch of different. We basically had different teachers from different walks of the church. So we'd have some people from like some charismatic churches, and we'd have some. Actually, 1 month, Dustin Kentsu from the band Thrice was there. And he used to lead music for a church and things like that. And basically just kind of learn some theological ideas, but also like practical ideas for music. There was one guy that was there every month who used to work for Line 6, which is this like pedal company. And he would like talk about the practical things of mixing sound or doing live sound.
Nice.
And like sort of the parallels of that to like a spiritual aspect. So like the idea of like noise versus sound, and how that also takes place in the heart. You know, you can have noise where you're trying to do something for a god or whatever, but it's not necessarily pure or true. You're just throwing noise out there and it's indecipherable, versus sound where there's some clarity and there's purpose behind what you're doing, and sort of helping take the physical and let it sort of reflect the spiritual and stuff like that.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
And deep. Have you heard like that plants make music?
Plants make music?
Yeah.
No.
Because I've seen like a video where this plant is like making music. I don't know. Like I was talking to this guy, or he was like at a church and he was like giving a speech. And he was just talking about how the universe is like a symphony and how it gives off sounds. And I don't know. It's just incredible to me.
Yeah,
I mean, look into that. It kind of blows my mind.
It's really cool too, because I remember seeing a long time ago. I should preface like all this stuff. Whenever I talk about like spirituality, I'm in a really weird place right now where I still like have a lot of those beliefs, but I'm also like really wrestling with a lot of them.
And you're trying to resist drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, I am, with the DARE shirt I have.
I forgot what DARE stands for.
I think it's
Dare to resist drugs.
Yeah,
Violence.
Drugs.
And
alcohol, roofies, and electricity, I think, is the E. I don't know.
See, I used to remember in 5th grade. Sorry to interrupt.
I homeschooled, so I didn't have the DARE program so when I went to high school, we weren't
Well, that's why you did all that cocaine.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that's when I was sitting in the car and texted you, I had to do the line before. No, I've never. Yeah, no, I've never done cocaine.
Speak for yourself.
I forgot what I was. Oh, I was just no, wrestling with my faith and stuff. But I think that hell, I don't know, man. I'm just in a really weird place about spirituality, but I still have this sort of general feeling about that there is this divinity somewhere that is here and doing something. And if I'm depending on who I'm talking to, I'll either refer to him as God or her as God or whatever, or I'll just basically call it the divine, because I do think that there's some sort of, I don't like the word higher power. It feels really
Cliche.
yeah, it's pretty cliche, but the divine also feels. I believe that there is a deity somewhere, and I believe that I still hold to sort of the gospel of Jesus, but I'm also not ignorant to the fact that there are a lot of people who I care about who don't, and I want to take that as seriously as my belief and try to figure out where I land with all of that, because there's got to be a reason why some people just don't grab a hold of that, and I think that when we look at, like, for me to look at music and creativity and things like that, that's one of the things that honestly has helped me kind of stay on this track with the divine, because I wanted to leave just with everything that's happened. It's just kind of like, if there is a God and he's good, why is all this stuff still happening? But I see music and I see
common question.
Yeah, I think that's probably a big reason why a lot of people stop. But I see music and art and stuff, but I also just kind of see the resilience of humans, even that don't believe in God, and have to say, well, even if from an evolutionary standpoint, that's just how we've learned to survive. There was something that placed that in us to be able to develop that.
Yeah.
The ingredients are there.
There's something that made us the best mammals on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those things are sort of like, okay, I'm still here, God, but I'm also, after the last 5 years, I'm a lot more open to talk to people who don't hold that, and I'm less inclined. I used to be pretty abrasive about well, no, God's real and you're wrong, and I just have I feel less comfortable doing that now. I don't want to speak with so much certainty about things as I used to. I have that certainty in me, but I'm also willing to be wrong if I am, but I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, no, I was going back to music. I remember seeing, when I was really heavily involved in youth group and stuff, they showed this video by a guy named Louis Giglio, and he talked about how the stars, he found audio recordings of these stars, and they're pulsating, and the sounds they're making sound like drum beats. And
I think I heard something similar to that.
And then the whales and their stuff, and he wound up basically combining all these things and different animals and sounds, and wound up combining them, and then played over it How Great Is Our God by Chris Tomlin, and it was all in the same key, and it was obviously it was produced that way, but it was just kind of this idea. And there's biblical things about that the creation, all the creation sings of God's glory and points towards the Creator, and so even if we were silent, the rocks would cry out, all of those ideas. And so it's really pretty, because then I feel that's the thing, is nature and creation, nature itself is meant to kind of reveal to us the divine. It's meant to. Sometimes we miss it.
Yeah, I could see that for sure, man. Nature.
Yeah. Just the fact that the plants and we need plants and plants need us. Just the fact that what we breathe out, they need, and what they breathe out, we need. That's beautiful, And
then biblically, we were created from the dirt.
Right.
So we're one with the plants.
Yeah.
If you think about it that way.
Yeah.
I'm a tree.
You are a tree. You're pretty tall.
Yeah.
You're metaphorically a tree, but also could be physically.
I like to wave in the wind.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, spirituality, I feel like it's huge in music, like secular music too. Like there's this spiritual essence to all music.
Yeah.
There definitely
Yeah,
is.
cool. Well, because you just have these like kind of transcendental experiences with songs. Like I used to preach a lot, and when people were trying to teach me how to do that, a lot of people were like, would tell me you're really lucky because you have music to include in stuff that you do. And they were like, because if you talk to anyone who goes to church and you ask them what their favorite sermon is, they couldn't tell you. But they can tell you their favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, like even from a secular standpoint or whatever, a lot of people will they know their favorite song, a song that evokes some sort of emotion. Like
Definitely.
You ask them what their favorite TED Talk is, they might have one, but it doesn't give them that visceral feeling that a song does.
Yeah, not at all.
And there is something spiritual about that.
Definitely.
And I think Christian music is such a weird thing because I feel like you can have the same experiences from a Christian song, Christian quote unquote, that you can have with like a not Christian song. Like I was driving over here and there's a cover of Love by Kendrick, but it's done by Churches, that pop band, CHVRC. They did a cover of it for Triple J, and it is one of the most beautiful versions of that song I've ever heard.
Have to look it up.
It's so cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it makes
I
me
love
really
that song.
happy. Yeah.
That whole album, everything Kendrick does.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, that album was really good.
I think he might be the greatest rapper of all time.
Yeah, I would agree.
In my opinion.
I would agree.
But
I like him. I liked J. Cole's new album. I'm excited about Chance's new album.
Me too.
I mainly because I heard he's also like it's supposed to be, well, first of all, it's his first actual album because all the other ones have been mixtapes. But also like he's been collabing with Childish Gambino a lot.
Yeah, they're supposed to drop a thing together.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever gonna happen.
I really hope so.
Because Kendrick and J. Cole were in talks about dropping a mixtape for like the past decade.
Yeah.
It's probably never gonna happen. But yeah, hopefully Gambino and Chance do something.
Yeah.
Because I love both of them a lot.
I do too. I was supposed to go see them, or I was supposed to go see Gambino the weekend I was put in the hospital. I had tickets to go see him.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was the Dallas show. And he wound up breaking his foot at that show. He had to cancel the rest of his tour after that. So at that show, I would have been there and like gotten like 4 songs out of him, and then he had to cancel.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was wild. I was really bummed because I was like all set to go, and it was like my first trip with like it was like some of my coworkers. We were going, and then all that happened. So yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy. How's your recovery?
It's all right. So basically, I basically just have to wait. That's all it is. Just waiting for nerves to grow back.
Yeah.
So,
have you looked into stem cell research?
I haven't.
I think you got to go to Cambodia, but
yeah,
it works. You got to leave the country and get some stem cells shot up in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that helps in your situation.
I don't know. It might. I haven't really done much. I think a lot of it is just because it would be really expensive. I just can't afford it. I don't think the state would pay for it either because I'm relying on them a lot. Just because I basically had to sign up for this crime victims compensation to help cover all the expenses that I'm accruing from the hospital and stuff. So I'm basically kind of at their mercy and seeing what they'll pay and then figure out the rest after.
That's intense. But so you were stabbed in the back and in the wrist?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So did it hit your spine?
No, it wasn't far from it. That when they first started doing MRIs a few months ago, the first MRI they had was to check if I had any spinal cord damage. And fortunately it wasn't. It's like a few inches away. So it could have been. It was really close, but I was lucky that it wasn't.
That's intense.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically it was I don't know, I had no idea that even my wrist had gotten cut until they turned the lights on, the ambulance showed up. So I just thought it was my back. And then when they turned the lights on, I saw my wrist basically just kind of like fall back, and it's like could see like the inside of my wrist. It was pretty wild.
Crazy. Were you in a lot of pain? Was there like a ton of adrenaline?
No, there was a ton of adrenaline. And so I the only pain I really felt was the jolt in my back. That was pretty much it. yeah, everything else I was just in shock. So I was just kind of like
Ooh.
trying to. There was like a few minutes before everyone showed up that I was out of it, but then like I started. Basically, I just kind of like realized like, okay, either I'm gonna die here or I'm not, and so then my brain just kind of kicked on, and I just started trying to get someone to come upstairs and find us. So, unfortunately, there were some people. It was like in the middle of the night, but fortunately, I'm really grateful for the neighbors who wound up showing up, because like there was no reason for anyone to be awake then. You know, it was like 2:30, and you know they showed up, and because I had dialed 911 when everything happened.
Yeah.
But then the assailant basically stole my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I dialed 911, and as it was calling, he came in to where I was at, took my phone, and ran off.
Wow.
So
Did they ever find the guy? Do you know?
yeah, oh yeah, they found him the next day.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so he's locked up right now and waiting to go to trial.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So it was just a break-in, and then just.
Well, we think depending on how the trial goes, what I believe happened is that it was someone who was who knew my friend. Basically, he came in and attacked us. He just wasn't happy with whatever was going on with them.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of an abusive relationship, and
Genuine psychopath.
yeah. So
Oh my goodness.
I truthfully don't know how much I'm allowed to. They didn't say I couldn't talk about anything, but
and I didn't know if I didn't want to get it like into it if it was hard to bring up or anything like that.
I don't mind talking about it. It's just a matter of like I don't know, because I mean he's been indicted for murder because he wound up killing my friend that night. But we're just waiting for trial and everything. But yeah, no, he was related to her, or like he was connected to her. He knew her, and if it was him that was there, which I believe it was, and yeah, so it was just in the middle of the night. They had already had some issues the day before, and it just kind of continued on to the next day, and I thought it was settled because we had wound up talking to him a couple times that day that it happened, and he seemed okay, and I was apologizing about the day before and all this stuff, and
Man.
then lost it. So
Not in a good place.
no,
That's insane.
no, yeah, that whole thing was wild, dude.
I'm glad you made it out, man.
Yeah, me too. Because the biggest thing about it all was before that night. I was having a really hard time wanting to be here. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want.
Really?
Yeah, I was having a hard time finding a reason to live. And truthfully, it was my friend. She was the one that was kind of helping me stay. And it wasn't that I wanted to, like, if I can be real, it wasn't that I wanted to kill myself. It was just that I saw no reason to live. Because my wife had just filed for divorce about 4 months before that, and I had been married and with this girl for like 10 years overall, and then just all of a sudden she's done.
Yeah,
so that stuff happened, and then on top of that, just everything else that I had been going through the years before that. I was just having a really hard time with all of that, and feeling alone and not really feeling like a person, and then my friend, this girl that wound up getting killed, she helped me kind of get through. She was also going through a lot of stuff with her relationship, and she had just been through like a pretty intense, like she miscarried her child, all of this like crazy stuff. We were both going through some really dark stuff, and sort of helped each other get through that. And I was really grateful for her. And up until the night of the hospital, I was having a really hard time with wanting to be here. And then but that last like month or two, because I played a show 2 weeks before that at Golden Light.
Okay, I think I was there.
Yeah, and things had started to really pick up like from August till about.
That was a great show.
Thanks, man. One of the biggest things that I hate about all of this is like that this momentum I had just all of a sudden stopped. Obviously, the biggest thing is that my friend is gone. Like that's the thing I'm the most upset about. But also like I had been writing all this music and was really starting to kind of take steps for my own life because I'd felt so directionless for months, and then started to get that. But I went through all of that and was starting to come out of this like funk that I'd been in and be like, yeah, no, you know what? I do want to, I want to do something with this time that I still have here. And like, I feel pretty old. I'm not, but I'm 29, which is not old.
Old as shit.
It is pretty old compared to everybody that I keep meeting at the 806. It's ridiculous. Like,
they're all 18.
they're all, yeah, these kids. And I'm just so, they're not kids. They're kind of adults. But, you know, I wanted to do something with the rest of the time that I had, and so I was trying to make those steps, and my friend, she was really influential in helping me do that. But it wasn't until that night when everything happened, I remember there was this shift where I'm like, this can't be like it. You know, this can't be, you know, when the dust settled and I was alone, I was like, this can't be it. Like, I'm not done here. And so then after, when I was put in the hospital, I was in the hospital for 10 days and had this chest tube like in my side, and I was basically just like waiting for surgeries to happen and trying to, you know, get my strength back and all this stuff. I was just like, you know, I've got to do something with, there's a reason that I'm still here,
still breathing. Yeah,
Definitely. I mean, because I shouldn't be here, but for some reason I survived that night, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. And even if I didn't have that motivation for myself, which there's days recently that I've started to find myself back in those places from months ago. The only difference now is the perspective that I have of my friend Julie isn't here anymore to do what she wanted to do. And all we wanted for each other was to be able to live the most full life that we could have, and she doesn't get to do that now. So if anything, I want to do that just to honor her. And so I try to fight through. It's like, even those days where I don't really want to be here, there's someone I'm doing this for. And
that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
so
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who do want you to be here. So
yeah, that's the other
don't
thing.
Forget that.
Yeah, that's the other thing I learned, man. In the hospital, I pushed a lot of people away for months, you know, and then in the hospital, I couldn't escape those people, and they all started showing up and messaging me and calling me, and I had no excuse. Like, they knew where I was at, and they knew that I wasn't going anywhere. And so I had to kind of come face to face with this, like, you aren't alone. People do care about you. You just let your brain tell you that they didn't, and they do. And that's been also really comforting. Obviously, like, there's a point where with any sort of trauma or tragic thing that happens, like, people sort of wind up going back to their own lives, and you can kind of feel that loneliness again. And I felt that. But now I just, like, I have another, like, I'm just more open to the idea of different people than what I thought I needed in my life. You know, like the friends in my town that I live, you know, and do life with or whatever, like, I don't see them as much, and I miss that. But there are people like here in Amarillo that I'm trying to stay connected with in case those people that I'm with there can't.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm just,
sure.
I'm widening my circle where I wasn't doing that before. And I don't know why I wasn't, because I like people, you know.
Yeah, I feel that for sure. I'm always trying to widen my circle, but yeah, I mean, your story is it's inspiring that you were able to you know, go through terrible things like that and still, you know, be out there playing music and just living your life. So yeah, keep it up. I think a lot of people look up to you in that way.
Oh, well,
it's really easy to give up.
Yeah. That's been the thing for me, is just wanting for people to keep doing whatever they're doing. Because sometimes it's really hard to be motivated
Definitely
to do it. Not even just like career or whatever, but just like to keep breathing.
Yeah.
You know, because I think a lot of people, we have this like need for someone to make us feel like we're valid. And I think there's some value to that, but I think that we want it immediately. And sometimes it comes down to, you just got to wait. because you may
Definitely.
not have that person there right now, but if
Yeah.
you just wait a little bit, they'll be there. And for me, that was Julie. Like, there was a season where when my wife first left that I'm like, I don't have anybody now, because like my friends didn't know how to deal with all of our friends were the same. So like I didn't see any of them and she didn't see any of them. We just kind of all disappeared because we didn't know how to handle the situation. So I was like playing 806 and that was pretty much it. And as much as I liked that, I was still going home to the house that I bought with my wife and like having a really hard time with that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I remember, damn, I'm getting really heavy and I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, you're
but
good.
okay.
You're good.
So I remember there was one night early on, that there was a song, it's called The Feudal by Say Anything. It's basically a song about like wanting to die. There's a line that's like, I'm eating rat poison for dinner, pull the cord from the phone, I'm dining alone. Basically I had that song on repeat for 8 hours in the middle of the night.
Wow.
Just sitting in my room I'm going to kill myself tonight.
What was your way of doing it?
I was just going to strangle myself to death.
You can do that?
Well, like just like hang asphyxiation.
Wow.
But like I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
But I was definitely in that headspace forever. And I remember texting my ex-wife and I'm like, you don't care about me. All this like heavy, like heartbreaking shit to her. And she got really worried. And that was like one of the last times that we spent some time together, but she came over. I was really grateful for that.
Yeah.
But I knew she was going to go back and be gone
go back
again.
to her old life.
Right. And, but so there was this moment early on where I was so close to not being here. And I was really lucky that, because not everybody is that lucky. A lot of times people are left in that space and they don't make it. And there are a lot of people that go through even heavier feelings than what I was feeling. And so I get there and that happens. And then, about a month or two later is when I meet Julie and we just start talking and kind of sharing each other's stories and become really good friends. And I'm really grateful that I waited, and I try to tell people that it's like, if you don't feel like you have someone that cares about you, just wait because they're out there and they don't necessarily have to be, because like Julie and I weren't an item.
Yeah.
We were just really good friends. And I knew that she loved me and I loved her. And there are people out there that can be that, and you don't necessarily have to marry them or date them. And if you just wait, you'll find those people. Yeah. And they may not even be in the place that you're at currently, but life circumstance is going to push you, or the universe or the divine or whatever is going to push you in a direction that puts you in the place where you're going to find them. And that's part of your story, and something compelling about a story is to watch a character kind of go through this turmoil and then to find that relief in a moment where someone comes to their aid or helps them progress their story further.
For sure, man. And I feel like that's a lot with relationships. Like, some people are only meant to be in your life for a certain amount of time. And that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, I've never been in a long-term relationship or a marriage, anything like that.
Yeah.
But, I've had relationships, but they always fizz out after, a certain number of months, certain number of weeks.
Sure.
And then most of the time it's like mutual and we stay friends, but
yeah,
it's just kind of people come and go, and they impact your life in certain ways. They help you in certain ways.
Yeah.
And they make you, the point is to make you be like, oh, I was stupid when I did that. I should fix this.
Right. Oh yeah, totally. That's been the thing I've tried to hold on to more now. Especially just with, I can't stop talking about Julie because she was such a huge part of my life, and she's really like, there's really nobody like her, and anyone that met her would say the same thing. Like, she's just such a rare person, but and I had wished that I'd had more time with her, but I'm grateful for the 9 months that I had. It was really only 9 months that I knew her, and but those 9 months changed everything for me. And obviously it was a combination of her and just other things that are happening in my life, but I attribute a lot of it to the time that I spent with her and the things she challenged me in my life. And but no, I think that's very true, is the people that we encounter, even like just friendships, but even more so relationships, I think are meant to reveal something about us and are meant to refine us, or they can. Sometimes we're so heartbroken we don't notice it until way down the road. A long time. Yeah. Because I mean, that was with my marriage ending. Like, ultimately, there was a lot to be learned from that, and maybe it's better in the long run that we aren't together anymore, or right now, or whatever. You know what I mean? But there's a lot I learned about myself and how the kind of husband or the kind of significant other I want to be now is different than who I was in that 7-year marriage.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. I get like that.
That's cool, man. It's interesting to talk about. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this. Take notes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's I don't know. I feel like I had a topic to go to, but I forgot. This guy kind of got zoned in.
Well, and it's also hard to kind of go from, hey, you almost died, and everything that comes with that into something else. Like,
That's true.
It's sometimes kind of hard to. I always regret that, because like I felt that way with Skylar too when I did his. It just kind of like, well, and he like immediately jumped into like, so man, you like went through all this shit and you're still religious. Let's talk about that. You know what I mean? Like,
I was listening to it today.
Yeah, and it's like, but I don't mind that. That's just kind of how I am. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I just am really, I'm really grateful that I'm still here.
Yeah,
and I'm
too,
really grateful that, that I can play guitar, because I didn't think I'd be able to. It's not how I want to. Yeah. But,
Yeah, man. I mean, you have a purpose. You just gotta turn tragedy into triumph,
Yeah, that's, is it Carrie Fisher? She has a quote. It says, "Take your broken heart, turn it into art." I might have mentioned that last episode I did with you, but
I don't know. We haven't talked in a while, so I wouldn't remember.
Yeah, so, but that's been the thing that I want to get back to. It's just been really hard because I basically go to therapy, like occupational therapy, for my hand twice a week, and then I try to work, trying to get back on my feet, because I was working when I first started working. I was working maybe 10 hours if I was lucky, at not a great wage. I mean, it's more than some people, but it's still not like enough to live.
5 for 15.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. But doing all that has just been really hard to kind of focus back on the music and stuff like that. Because I'd like to. I mean, the metal band I'm in, I'm still technically a part of. And once I get my hand back well enough,
Divided Me.
I plan on getting back there.
Shout out Divided Me.
Divided Me. I miss them a lot. I haven't seen them in a while. I work merch for them when I can. But they've got some shows. They're playing here at maybe Austin's. I don't know where they're playing. I guess I should find that out because I was trying to work merch for it. But
I actually tried to go see them on. I think it was New Year's.
Yeah, they played Austin's for New Year's, I think.
Oh, maybe it wasn't New Year's then. They were at Tees, and there was the Leo.
Oh no, then, yeah. And
then because we had comedy at the very end.
Yes, that's right.
But they played at like 7 p.m. And I was like, I didn't think they were going to play that early.
Yeah,
because I missed them. I thought the Leo was good though.
I heard they were really good.
Yeah.
So I do that. I'm still a part of that, and I plan on getting back into that because we have a festival booked in the summer, and we're trying to do a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of shows all over, and keep that going. And they're writing new stuff, so we'll probably have a full length out by the end of the year. Hopefully, I can get on that, like actually play guitar on it. But
their sound is awesome.
Yeah, I think because Divided Me has been around for over 10 years in some capacity.
Really?
Yeah, so like the drummer and the screamer, so Scott and Tyler, have sort of been a part of the band for the longest. Tyler's like the original member. He sort of started the band about 10 years ago. But the sound was like completely different. There was no female singer, and it was a lot more... It honestly had like a more like 80s metal vibe to it when it first started, and then over the years it's just sort of evolved into what it is now. And I'm really I'm really digging what it sounds like.
Yeah, me too, man.
Even before I joined the band, I thought what they were doing was really cool. And then they asked me to play, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And I really enjoyed it. And then I plan on having, depending on how my hand goes, I'd plan on having an EP out last fall, and then everything happened.
Mm-hmm.
So probably what I'll do is, once I can actually play the way I need to, I'll probably kickstart a full length instead of an EP. So I'll take the 5 or 6 songs I had for the EP, and then write another half of it, and then just try to go into a studio and spend like a couple months, like a month or two in the studio.
Have you considered naming the EP "Give Me a Hand"?
No, I hadn't until now.
Okay, just throwing it out there.
You know, I might write a song called "Give Me a Hand." We'll see how it goes. That's hilarious.
I'll try my best.
That's a good one.
But I was trying to talk about the anti-Valentine's Day show. We still haven't gotten to it yet, and we're already an hour in.
Yeah.
But that was a fun night, man. You killed it.
Oh, thanks.
That was good for everybody.
Dude, I told you that night of the show, but your closer, I don't know if that was intentionally your closer, but it was a perfect closer.
It was a perfect closer. No, I had one more joke after that.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, no, that was a perfect, like,
I didn't have time for it.
leave him with a groan, but you know it's funny. No, that whole thing, truthfully, was like really good. I didn't know what to expect because my first introduction to the Valentine's show was last year, and they went all out last year.
The vibe was super weird in there.
It was. Dude, like, and it was so strange because during my set, that first song I played, where I hardly played guitar, was completely silent. And then as the set went on, like, people got louder. And then it just kind of stayed at that level. Because then when you went up, like, which is cool because I think I remember, like, early on when we first like met, a loud room was pretty difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And, like, you just, like, you handled it like it was nothing.
I didn't really factor. I mean, because I knew I had most of the room listening, so I was like, I'll just ignore the sound, everyone else.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that whole vibe was like it felt kind of open mic-ish, but not really. Like, it did feel like I don't know. Also, like, after your set, I basically went outside for the rest of it, just because a friend of mine was there that I hadn't seen in a long time. So
the only thing that had me worried was Johnny. I was supposed to go first before you went up.
Oh yeah.
And then Thomas was like, I couldn't find you. I was like, I was right by the door. But he put Johnny up, and that dude was just like, I'm sorry guys, I'm not prepared. I don't have anything. And it's just, then why'd you want to do this?
Right. Yeah.
No offense, Johnny, but damn it.
Right. Well, and I've noticed.
I was worried that was gonna destroy the vibe. And I was like, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to watch. Well, and I've noticed too that, like, a lot of the new guys that you guys bring up, that's like their go-to on stage. It's like a nervous tick that I think I've seen almost every comic have, which is they get up there and, like, I'm not prepared or whatever, and they say it. You know, it's like this kind of nervous tick to kind of, like, relate. And it's like, oh, we understand. You know, the 806 is probably the best place to feel that way, but what I heard, it wasn't, wasn't awful. You know,
it wasn't awful. No, but just that just gets on my nerves when they're like, oh, I wasn't ready. Like, what were you doing for the past week? You know,
right? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm harsh on myself about that. So when I see other people do it, it just bothers me.
Well, and your work ethic is different than a lot of the other people that I've
That's
met that do comedy, or really anything. Because, like, when I was sort of prepared that night, but I had like 6 songs in my head that I'm like, okay, I could play any of these. And that's how I approach open mic every week too. It's like, I don't know what I'm playing until I get up there, and then typically I'll have a song that out of the 3 that I play, there's at least one song that I forget lyrics. So I should probably prepare more. But for the most part, I'm like, well, we'll see, and kind of play off the room, which seemed to be what Fredo did like the entire time, which it works.
Fredo's good at that.
Yeah, he's good at that, So some people are wired to do that, and some people need to prepare. And
yeah, that's this thing. I have to prepare. I have to know what I'm going to do. But, I mean, I will.
Do you like crowd work?
Yeah, I'll do crowd work and I ad-lib a little bit. But I won't ever go up without something.
Yeah.
I know a way to open and close.
Yeah. That's usually me too, is I know what song I want to play at the beginning, what I want to play at the end. Or at least I'll at least have an idea of how I want to. It's also really dependent on who I know is going after me or before me.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I try to not, I don't want to harsh the vibe and play like my saddest song if I know a comic is following me after, because I want to think about who's around me on either side of the set. So if like a comic is before me, then like I'll start high and then come down low. Or if
That's
I know,
nice. That's very nice of you.
Yeah. And I just cause like, you know, we're all trying, basically even open mic nights, like at the end of the day, it's very, I feel like the mindset's very much like an improv troupe. Like at the end of the day, we're all trying to put on a show for the people who are there that aren't going to play.
And I want everyone to do well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's, you know, that's always been my hope for whenever, because that's how they were for me when I first started playing open mic too. They were really supportive and wanted me to do well. And I want that for everybody. Like even like someone who's never done anything, and, you know, I want them to have a good experience. So I don't want to hog time, or like if they're a comedian, I don't want to make them have to try to win the room back because I just bummed them out. You know what I mean? So,
but honestly, that's just gonna make them better.
That's true. Yeah.
So
maybe I just baby people too much.
No, you should just go on stage and make it difficult to be followed, make it impossible.
Yeah, like I'll play a song
Destroy it.
about my mom dying every time.
Rip your shirt off.
Yeah, like cry,
Pull out your
break down,
hair.
have a huge breakdown.
Smoke a bong.
Yeah,
on stage.
I'll I'll urinate on the floor. Like I'll piss myself is what I'll do.
Yeah,
and then just whoever's up next, they'll have to follow that.
That'd be badass.
And then I would never ever, if I pissed myself in front of the crowd, I would never ever show my face at that place ever again.
That's not nice.
I just couldn't do it. I mean, other people could maybe piss themselves and do that. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I'd be too embarrassed. Because there's a part of me that still wants to seem cool, you know.
But what if your set goes really well and then you piss yourself? And I'm like, well, he's actually really, really good, but he pissed.
He just pisses himself at the end.
It's
of
like
the
if Bruno Mars, if Bruno Mars pissed himself after every show, I don't think anyone would care.
You know,
like,
that's true.
He still did really well for an hour.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You can't. Well, I don't know, man. I think it would only work if Bruno pissed himself.
Like asparagus.
If he pissed himself in the middle of his set and then continued to kill, because like it's pretty memorable if like he ends the set with, like if you end with the piss yourself thing, like it's like that's all you're gonna remember. It's like the show was good, but all I remember is Bruno urinating at the end of the show.
Maybe try pissing yourself before you start. That way you know the crowd really digs your music.
Yeah, it's like
they're not just being polite anymore.
Right.
They really like
it's
me.
like why is he pissing himself? And then you play the first song. Yeah. That's makes me think about, I don't know if you've ever seen that video. I've only heard it described to me as I was watching some YouTube channel. They were talking about, there's a video of this man being arrested in the UK, and he's peeing, but he's like peeing upwards. It's like as if his dick was like in the waistband of his pants, so he's urinating upwards, like, and it's not getting on him, and he's like angry that he's getting arrested, and he's just like yelling at the police officer. Every time he yells, the piss stream would get stronger, but like somehow he's not peeing on himself.
Wait, so he's getting is he in handcuffs? What is that?
He's being arrested, so his hands are behind him, but somehow he's urinating upwards and away from him, and his pants are up, and so it's so strange. But the funniest part of it is there's a comment, like one of the top comments in that video is like, I have so many questions, like why is he pissing himself? Like, and why is he not acting like he knows that he's pissing himself? And why is he peeing upwards? Like, is his dick like in his waistband? I just don't understand. How is he not getting pee all over himself? And how is he? There's just too many questions to this video, and it just made me think like that's a memorable thing. Like I should do that. I should like pee,
get arrested,
get arrested, pee, but not on myself. Somehow manage to not pee on myself, then play a set. While handcuffed.
But pee on someone else.
Yeah.
As long as they're not underage.
Yes.
Which won't be an issue at 8:06. Just have to wait till 9 p.m., I think.
Right, yeah.
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 Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
But yeah, you just let me know when you're going to do it. You know, I'll bring an umbrella.
Yeah. I'll make sure to like, I'll tweet like Splash Zone coming to 8:06 tonight.
Come give me a hand.
Yeah. Yep. Oh God, that's a good one.
I was trying to make a urine pun, but I couldn't think of one, so I'm gonna move
You're
on.
in a lot of trouble.
Oh,
That's an easy one. It's low hanging
That's
fruit.
a good one.
But
That's a good one.
I tried.
Low hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So you said, when's your EP dropping?
I don't know.
Not yet.
I was in the middle of producing it.
Mhm.
I just had to do drums, and then I was in the hospital.
How many songs deep were you?
4. I had.
Nice.
I think I had 4. See, with an EP, if you get past 5, then it might as well just be like a full length.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I had 5 total. I had tracked all the guitars for basically, and had lyrics, and I just needed to redo drums and a couple other things. And then just as time went on, and then I went into the hospital. When I got out, I was like, well, I can't. I want to redo a lot of the stuff. So what changed it was when I played those songs live, the guys I was playing with, sort of, the way I recorded the songs were different than how we played them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, I really like how we played them, so I want to do that for the record. So I basically have to redo a couple songs entirely.
Interesting.
And but I have to be able to
Mm-hmm.
like navigate a guitar better than I can right now.
Do you have your own studio?
Mm-mm. No, I just record in my house with mic and a interface.
Nice.
I was basically recording all that stuff in my old house, and now I'm living with a roommate. So,
Still in Borger?
yeah, for now.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I imagine at some point after a good amount of therapy, I might wind up here.
Mm-hmm.
I was planning on moving here before.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it a while back.
And then not to say that like everyone in Amarillo wants to stab you, but when you get stabbed, you're less inclined to want to live in the town that you got stabbed in.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But that is to say, not to say like it's a matter of like just learning that I can't live in fear of it, because there are a lot of really good people out here, and there's a lot of stuff happening for me out here that, I have a lot of friends in Borger, and there's a community there that I really do love, but it'd probably be better growth wise for me to be out here.
Yeah, and the vast majority of people won't stab you.
Yeah,
Like
it's a small minority.
Yeah,
They're a loud minority, but
I'd say about 99%.
Yeah,
most likely won't stab you.
yeah, no, that's fair. I was thinking about going back to school, truthfully, and try to do some like something with like mass comm, like
Nice.
video, audio, things like that.
That's what I went to school for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Were you there before? What was the professor's name that at WT? Did you go to WT? They were saying there was a professor that just recently died a few years ago, I guess.
Oh,
was it Browning? I think
Browning, yeah.
They said the program was really good. It's still good, but it was like really good when Browning
Honestly,
was there.
I had only spoken to her once,
Really?
and she said, "Get your shoes off my table."
Nice.
That was the only time we spoke.
Nice.
She was very influential to everyone else. Like
Sure.
I knew she was a great person.
Yeah.
Like, I knew she was a great teacher.
Yeah.
I just never really experienced her face to face.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I'd like to do that just so I have something to say, like, hey, I can professionally do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it's just, oh, well, I set up my sound system for my church, which is a huge ordeal, but, so there are a lot of things that I'm kind of knowledgeable about, but I'd like to have more knowledge of that and also just, like, something to, I guess prove that I know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Which
people still look for that.
Yeah, I guess people still did look for. I was gonna say the degree's kind of overrated. I think you probably know a lot just from hands-on experience.
Yeah. I think it's just like having like the terminology and like a little clearer understanding of it. That's for me. The degree is really just a formality, so people will like maybe hire me. But I know like it really does. I think especially with that field, it's a matter of who you know. Yeah. Whether it's in audio or video.
They're going to see experience with church. I think it's going to be way more valuable than a 4-year degree.
Right. Well, and ideally, I'd like to, if I were to move here, I'd like to be a sound guy for a bar or something just as a start, just to get that experience. Because I'd love to do like live sound. I'd love to produce music like in a studio, but there's something about like the live atmosphere that I really enjoy.
Yeah, me too, man. Live music's awesome.
Yeah, so I'd rather do something like that, but having like video experience and like maybe having worked with some better equipment and better programs would be nice. So for me, it's all about the education and the the stuff they provide that I can't get just on my own right now would be nice. But I don't know. I'm still sort of in a limbo.
Limbo.
Yep. So
You know how to get out of your limbo?
stand up.
Mushrooms.
Dope.
No, I don't know, man.
I have a buddy who
Positivity.
does mushrooms. Like, he sets aside days where he's like every few months, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go this weekend and go on a excursion with mushrooms.
Nice.
And he like comes back with like his mind's open, and he's like, oh man, this thing, you were saying this thing. I was like, all right.
Last time I did mushrooms, I watched Adam Sandler's Netflix special.
Really?
So funny.
I
laughed so hard.
Really? I laughed without mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean, I would have laughed at mushrooms too.
But it's probably heightened.
It just happened to be what was on when I was tripping balls.
That was surprisingly good.
It was hilarious. I laughed so hard. And then I just watched Ray Romano's last night. Really
he has
good.
one?
Yeah. I didn't know he even did stand-up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but apparently he's been doing stand-up for like 32 years.
Yeah.
But his special was cool because he didn't like have a show prepared and sell tickets or anything. He was just walking down the street in New York. He's like, I'm going to do a pop-in at the Comedy Cellar. And he did 30 minutes and just a crowd that didn't know he was going to be there.
Yeah.
And then he left and went to another. Apparently there's 2 Comedy Cellars in New York, like a block away from each other. So then he filmed himself walking to the next one.
And did another
and then
set?
he just popped in and did another 30-minute set.
Wow.
Yeah, it was gangster as fuck.
That's crazy.
It was cool. And he's hilarious. I did not know he was that funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a pretty good timing.
It's great timing.
Yo, real talk. Do you have a bathroom I can use?
Yeah, it's right behind you.
Dope.
Cool.
Can we pause?
Yeah, we can
Or do you want to
pause.
be done?
No, I'm going to drink some water.
Okay.
Because I'm thirsty.
Okay. I'm going to use the bathroom and then I'll come back.
Here's where them at the shop. Only said that cause I think out the box. She poppin' lock, but I'm not Huey. Back in the car, man, it feel like a movie. Smoking that mystery, Shaggy, no Scooby. They be judgmental like Joe Brown and Judy. Shout out to Scooter, where should we go? Every October, man, we gotta roll. I'll take a trip, then I'll stay on the low. Drop me a take, then I'll make me some more. Who's at the door? Fuck if I know. If I let them in, then they smoke on my drove. I fuck with women who know how to roll. Wait till I'm winning, they blow up my phone. When I was swimming, I needed a boat. Fuck the subliminals, nobody knows. They mad at my album, I got potential. They can't live without them, they jealousy grows.
The Murder on My Mind, guys. Is that the guy?
YNW Melly or whatever?
Yeah. Well, he went all into detail.
Yeah.
About how he was holding his friend while he was dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets charged with murder.
That someone tweeted under that. It was that what's it called? That you watch Key and Peele?
Yeah.
That skit with that rapper. Let me see.
It's where Peele like basically like talks about how he his character like murdered someone and he's like being interrogated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that bit.
I'm gonna play some of it because this shit's funny.
Are we back on?
Oh, are we?
I don't know.
I think I started. Yeah, we're recording.
Okay, cool.
I do not care that you're a multi-platinum selling rapper.
I love this.
What I care about is that I 100% know that you murdered Darnell Simmons. So you better start talking.
Yeah, but you ain't got none.
I'm very glad that you said that. Because respectfully, I beg to differ.
I killed Darnell, yeah, I shot him with my 9. I shot him 9 times, 9 p.m. on the dime. And by the way, it was November 9th.
That don't mean nothing.
It was open.
I got a vivid imagination. I couldn't have shot Darnell. I was at my cousin's birthday party. Red Lobster, November 9th.
At Red Lobster? Jeez, I gotta tell you, Gunrack, I find that really hard to believe.
I got an alibi. First, Red Lobster. When in reality, I shot Darnell like a mobster. It's a lie. Anyone could tell this if you know about my allergy to all shellfish.
Just confess, Gunrack.
I confess that shellfish is the only thing that rhymes with tell this. It's just words, detective. Nouns, adjectives. They just happen to be in a dope order, but we ain't got no pearl.
Shot up Darnell with a long ass gun and tossed it into the aquarium.
I have no idea what that object is. If I had to identify it, I would call it a gun. Of the long ass variety. Some seaweed in there too. Look, the tiger. I hate to break it to you. I ain't killed nobody.
Stroke my chin real slow when I'm lying. And I was laughing super hard as Darnell was dying.
The name of the album is I Killed Darnell Simmons.
It's the concept of him.
A concept? That's a picture of you. A picture of you. And behind you is Darnell Simmons' body.
Coincidence.
You're going away for a long time.
Okay, that's just hilarious.
I love that at the end of that track, it's like, this is my confession. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that shit's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy, I don't remember how do you say his name?
YNW Mel. I don't know his name. I just saw the pictures and then heard the song.
That song about murdering his friends was catchy.
It was. But it was oddly detailed. Like,
Yeah, it was.
It's sad.
I was actually watching Chris D'Elia rap video called "My Life as a Documentary."
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard it?
No.
It's from like 3 years ago, but it's super funny. I'm just gonna play a little bit of it.
By the way, I wound up pissing myself instead of going to the bathroom, so that pause was a lot shorter than what it might have thought.
Yeah, it smells weird in here.
Yeah.
But I'm used to peeing myself, so it doesn't even faze me.
Lamp shoelaces over telephone wires. I spit flames over dudes warming hands on a fire. I wear bulletproof denim, cause that's the attire. And if Baltimore is prim, then this verse is The Wire. Chang Smith in the LA area. Motherfucker try to look at me, and I'm Oberia. From the prim dry heat to the LA smog. Don't push me, I'll jump on your girl's pussy like a frog. Yeah, ribbit, where that lily pad at? I'm this way cause my silly dad act like a motherfucker when I was growing up, and now I treat you the way I treat you with no apology, sucker. I sold M80s to my friends in the 90s. I sold my soul to the game and I watched it blind me. And now my mind is full of demons locked up like a prison. They all trying to get out, just itching. Wool sweater on, fuck that. I got full leather on with a plethora of M80s. Not using them for fun, using them for explosion and make your body smell like it's Parmesan. My life's a documentary.
That's a trip.
My life's a documentary.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's catchy too.
It's close enough to being like an actually good rap song too. That's what makes it funny.
My life's a documentary.
I still love the video he did, basically imitating Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like in his car.
He's done a couple now.
Really?
Yeah, he did one where he was just in his garage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that guy's funny.
Yeah, and then Eminem actually retweeted it, and he was like, "Oh shit, I thought this was me." This one's only 55 seconds.
I'm playing in a hand trick with Danica Pantrick. I'm saying an accent. The can is fantastic. The Zoxes and Foxes, while I'm listening to the Loxes.
It's the walking back and
A
forth.
whole bunch of boxes. Right in my garage with a bunch of large cars inside of the barge. A bunch of my cars in a large garage. Swerving in an emergency lane with cars from New Jersey.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's amazing.
No, he's great.
Yeah, I feel like he could actually rap if he wanted to. He just likes being funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he was probably one of my favorite Viners when he did Vine a lot.
Yeah.
He and Sasso.
I didn't even look up his Vines till after Vine was gone, but yeah, him and Sasso are hilarious.
Yeah.
I love Sasso so much.
I found a old video of Sasso when he he made an appearance on WWF
Dude, I was watching that yesterday.
as Stone Cold or whatever. He was dressed as Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was really funny.
What?
Yep. Oh my goodness. He has a really good Stone Cold impression though.
Yeah, he does. His impressions are amazing. Like I've watched him do Alex Jones and Michael Rappaport
Yeah.
back to back, and he killed both of them.
Nice.
It's out of this world. So you got any things coming up?
Anything's coming up? Not really. I'm still, every week that open mics are up, I debate whether I'm going to or not, and then I inevitably show up.
Nice.
I'm supposed to be playing a show. It's like a showcase in Borger. There's a cafe there that does music every so often.
Nice. What's it called?
The cafe is called Newman and Bailey. They just opened like a few months ago.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I don't remember that place.
It used to be, that building used to be the old Trinity Vineyard Church. And they bought it and revamped it into like the front half's like a boutique and then the back's a coffee shop. And they sell Palace coffee up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Palace is really branching out.
yeah. So I've been going there. When I moved back, that weekend I moved back, they had their first like night of music and I went to it and the girls that were playing let me sing with them a song. So that was pretty cool. But
That's cool.
one of the baristas, her husband is going to do like I think he's like bringing like 2 other people, and basically we're gonna do just like we'll each get like 30 minutes or something and play that night. So
Nice. I got invited to do Lovestock. Have you heard of that?
yeah, dude, that's cool.
Yeah, they're gonna let us do 45 minutes, so I just get 2 other comedians.
Sweet.
Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
I think the key is to do it before the music, like go early.
Yeah.
I don't know, because going in between music is rough.
Mm-hmm.
At least the times I've tried.
Yeah. I don't know, because I've always wondered how they do comedy for like, like Bonnaroo and Lala and stuff like that. Because there's usually like big comics that play that. I just don't know when they typically do it.
I don't know how that works either. I've never been to a festival.
I guess it would. So really, it would be you'd either want to do it early, or you'd want to do it before like the 2 or 3 big main headliners, the people are actually showing up for, whoever's headlining Lovestock.
Maybe so. I don't know.
So yeah, it'd be cool to get onto something like that. I imagine if everything had happened, like the thing I'm trying to remember is like with everything that's happened, the whole idea of everything happens for a reason is like I don't know how I feel about that, but I do know like that, hopefully the amount of time that this whole thing has made me have to wait, that there's like a bigger dividend to come from when I finally start playing again. Because I was supposed to play, Tasha at Golden Light was going to have me come back and play a couple other shows there with some bands. But the band that I was supposed to open for wound up like they aren't together anymore, which it sucks because they were like a really good band out of Lubbock, and they had a pretty big following in Lubbock.
Were they at Golden Light before?
I don't think they've ever played Golden Light. They're
okay.
called Fellow American.
No, I haven't heard them.
But for me, I'm just gonna put it out in the universe because I've been trying to do it every time I talk about it.
Put it out there, then.
For me, I have these ideas of success, like these tiers of success. So like the one thing that I would love to do, it's a small goal, is to have a bill at Golden Light where it's Native Crowds, which is my band. So Native Crowds, Mount Ivy, and Fellow American.
Mount Ivy's dope.
Mount Ivy's, like, those guys are so good,
Yeah.
and I would love to play a show with them. I think those 3 bands, like, we would have, like, a really good show.
I think Mount Ivy was there on Halloween.
Yeah, they did.
correctly.
No, yeah, they did the pub crawl at Golden Light.
Yeah, those guys
I
are
saw
dope.
them play a month before that. And then I saw them play, they did a show for 806, too, before that.
I missed that one.
And I talked to Broderick a little bit. I had met him at Guitar Center before that too, but he's just a good dude, and he has a cool band called Vamping. I think it's called Vamping. But he has like a big following, like in I think like South America. Or no, it's like over in Europe.
Is that like a verb of being a vampire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I hear vamping.
It's pretty like chill, like ambient electronic music that he does for that
yeah.
band. But he's got like a good following in Europe. A lot of people really like his music out
That's
there.
badass.
Yeah, it's really cool. But Mount Ivy's really.
Yeah.
They're probably one of my favorite bands.
First
in
time I
town.
saw them, I was at WT, and they did like the unplugged sessions. I forgot what they were called. It's like
Yeah.
WT has their own version of MTV Unplugged.
Oh yeah.
It's a little studio and a bunch of people pack it in. It's badass.
No, I do remember because I had a buddy a long time ago. His name was Joel Vaughn, and he did one there one time.
Yeah, I forgot what they call it. It's not unplugged. It's something similar to that though.
Yeah.
But it's super dope. The acoustics are great. Everything. You should definitely go check out WT if you want to do sound because everything there is state of the art.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah, that's definitely my plan. Because I'd like to live in Canyon too. I think Canyon's a cool
Canyon's
town.
a good little place.
Yeah. So
I like Canyon a lot. I grew up there, so I hated it.
sure.
And then once I became an adult and I moved away, which I'm only 20 minutes away, but
Right. Right.
now when I drive through Canyon, I'm like, hell yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And they have they're redoing the whole square right now, so they have like 3 or 4 bars right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Recreation's really cool. They have a place called Barrel and Pie.
I heard about Recreation because we found a bar in Tulsa called The Max, which is basically like kind of like Recreation. So it's like an arcade bar.
Were you able to like play Xbox and shit in there?
No, it was more like they had old arcade cabinets that were like a quarter or maybe even cheaper than that. So basically they had the bar and then there was a room next door that was full of like pinball machines and old arcade. So they had like the old Ninja Turtles and old X-Men, all that stuff. Like Street Fighter and stuff like that.
They at Recreation you can just get an Xbox controller and sit at the bar.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's cool.
And all the games are free, like all the arcade games.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's
I've been
badass.
meaning to go up there.
The food and the beer is a little pricey, but it's really good.
Sure.
It's like stoner burgers.
Okay.
I forgot the names of them. They have really funny names though. You can get like peanut butter and jelly on a burger.
Oh man,
Tastes really good.
that sounds really good.
Yeah. And when my friend who just passed away, they made a burger named after him.
It was
the Montgomery.
Montgomery, yeah, I
Yeah.
heard about that. I'm sorry to hear about that, man.
I appreciate it.
He seemed really cool. I never got to meet him, but I heard a lot of good things about
Yeah,
him.
it's crazy. And I don't think anyone saw that coming.
Yeah,
Caught everybody off guard.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I saw the picture of the burger. I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's dope.
So I'd like to try it.
Yeah, go check out Canyon. You know.
Yeah.
My old stomping
That
grounds.
that whole square though is really cool though, because I remember when Palace was like first there, and
Oh yeah, and
I liked that.
That building they have where Palace is badass too. Like you can
Yeah.
go to the back. They used to have open mics back there, but it was before I even thought about doing stand up,
Yeah.
which I probably wouldn't have gone well there anyway. It's
Yeah,
not-
Palace doesn't seem like a place to do. Do you still play Urbana? Do they still do stuff there?
we just stopped hitting them up. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the plan is to go back eventually. We're busy trying to book everything else.
Right.
So, and that place, we'd get a handful of people sometimes.
Yeah.
So
No, I get that.
maybe somewhere down the road.
Sure. Yeah, I think I don't know. I just think there's a lot of cool places in Canyon too. Like I had never been to Joe Taco up until
I still haven't been to that one.
a few months ago, like a month or two ago, and then yeah, just everything downtown is. It's not like there's nothing to do there.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if you can't find anything, then you can just go to Amarillo. That's not that far.
Yeah.
You know,
Or you can just do what I did in high school and go find parks to smoke weed at.
that's also a good
Yeah.
thing. You can do that anywhere. That's kind of the charm about smoking weed is
Yeah.
it's a good thing you could do anywhere.
Someone just hit me up about CBD joints that they're
Yeah.
selling in Amarillo.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. I'm about to go buy some.
Yeah, yeah. When I was smoking cigarettes a lot, my buddy was telling me because we have a smoke shop in Borger, and they
Of course you
they
do.
were selling CBD, like pre-rolled CBD stuff. I was taking CBD oil when I got out of the hospital, and it's helped a lot.
That's good.
Yeah, because just like it helps with nerves. Like I have a friend who has fibromyalgia, and there's a lot of research saying that people with fibro, like CBD helps because it's a nerve disease. So it's like it helps with like settling down nerves, which is basically all my problem is now with my hand. Basically, that's re-strengthening muscles that were damaged, but then the biggest thing is just nerves having to relearn.
You know what I heard
Stuff.
helps with nerves a lot? OG Kush. So that's just what I heard. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's what a guy told me. So.
Yeah. No, you're right.
No, I have no idea. Because like CBD and do you know the difference between? I know CBD doesn't give you like the high feeling, but does THC still have the healing factors that CBD does?
Yeah, I think technically like if you smoke weed, it contains both CBD and THC.
Oh, okay.
So the cannabinoids
So they're
still
just
exist.
extracting the.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
They're just extracting the non-psychoactive part of the hemp plant and giving that to people.
Nice.
So it's all of the healing factors, but none of the high. So it's like the blade of weed. So it's got all the strengths of a vampire, but none of its weaknesses. If you were to say getting high is a weakness.
So that's like the natural. I feel like that's how weed naturally was, and and then nerds found out about weed, and they're like, we're gonna make the strongest weed ever.
Right. Yeah. And that's been my. So there was a time where I was like not so cool with weed or whatever, like drugs in general. But the more that I talk about it, there's a reason the plant existed for years, and there was a time where that's what we used was herbs to help for different things.
We didn't have aspirin,
right? So I imagine that was the original intention was it was meant to to use the oils and stuff to help, So and then we were just like, oh, we have the technology, we can make it stronger,
we can make it into a booger, and ruin your whole day.
God. I have a buddy who just smokes dab on the reg, and it's like,
I like it, but then like once you do it, like you have to be prepared to not do anything for the rest of the day. Like you got to do it late at night.
Yeah. This guy wants to buy like one of those 100 milligram gummies and eat all of it.
Oh, I did that in Denver.
Really?
Because they won't let you buy more than 100 milligrams at a time.
Yeah.
So it was when Skylar was performing in Fort Collins, and I was just driving him there and hitting any open mics I could.
Yeah.
But I got the full bar, and he was like, "Hey man, maybe just take a couple and then see how you feel." And I was like, "Yeah, I'd do that if I was a giant pussy." I ate the whole thing immediately.
Yeah.
And then I was just laid down for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
We were walking around Denver, and we got lost trying to find it was kind of cool because we stayed in a hostel, so everyone on the same floor shared a bathroom.
Nice.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah,
Denver's cool.
I've heard Colorado in general is pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, I like Fort Collins more than Denver just because it's smaller. It feels like a suburb of Denver.
Yeah,
and it's like the downtown is like really pretty.
Yeah,
and so is Colorado Springs. When I went to Colorado Springs, everybody was happy. I've never seen a place where everyone's smiling.
Right.
I was like, what is it? What's
it's
going on
strange,
over here?
yeah.
Like there were people protesting gun violence, but they were holding signs and they were smiling.
Yeah.
It's like they were happy protesting.
Right.
And I can't relate. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. All my friends that smoke, they go to Trinidad. That's basically where they hit up.
Yeah, that's the closest one to here, I think. As far as I know. I just love driving to Colorado. Just when you hit the mountains. It's the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah. Pretty great.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I dig it. I've only been to, where did I go? It was probably outside of Denver, and it was for a youth camp.
Nice.
Yeah, I took students out there.
Oh, I went to somewhere close by there. It was for Trinity Church in Amarillo.
Oh yeah,
it was like a men's retreat. The Wesley, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember, but a friend invited me and I went.
Yeah.
They had some bomb ass breakfast too. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was in like a canyon, I think.
Oh
I don't really remember, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It's crazy though because we were such heathens. There were bed bugs in our little cabin place we were in, so we packed up all our stuff and left immediately. It was like the second or third night, and then we went straight to a strip club.
Nice. That's hilarious.
It's bad. It's awful.
I was listening to Pete Holmes just talk about they did this thing it was on Segura's podcast.
Your mom's house?
Yeah. And they were asking him about Christian jokes. They played this video where it's like basically want to know if these Christian jokes would work in a church or not. And he goes on this rant about just Christian art in general. But he talks about how like it's interesting how when you have like a youth conference, right? So youth pastors are all going to go to this one place for this big conference or whatever. And the hotels, typically when church events go there, in the hotels, porn sales go up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And like, so there's this, his argument is that he's the frustrating thing about Christian artists or Christians in general is the perceived, like the perception of holiness that they put out, but it's not really there. Rather than being honest with like, these are things that you're dealing with, they put on this front that they're holy. But when you look at like statistically, like, especially now with everything like just currently, like even the Southern Baptist Convention, like there's always been the things with the Catholic Church and like sexual abuse and things like that. But now they're starting to come out with like the SBC, which is probably the next largest organization of like evangelical or Christianity.
And that's crazy.
And that, and there was
Because they're allowed to get married.
right.
I thought the problem
Right.
would be that we're not allowed to get
It's
married.
like celibacy and stuff
We
like
have
that.
to go and fondle these kids.
Right.
But the Baptist priests can get married, so I don't know
Yeah,
what their excuse
yeah.
is.
It's all a power thing. That's usually what we literally went from Key and Peele to we're back here, but I mean that's the thing is it's typically about power when it comes to abuse, even sexual abuse. It's not that person is sexually attracted to someone, like that's just the byproduct of someone trying to be powerful.
Terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah, in the words of Charles Barkley, it's terrible.
Terrible indeed.
But all that to say, like, it was a funny statistic that, like, you have these clergy who go to this conference, and typically the hotels they're staying at. So you were no different than probably half of the pastors that were there. It's just they were pretending that they weren't going to go to a strip club later.
Slightly different because I don't pay for porn. Okay,
That's true.
I respect myself.
Yeah. If it's free, why would you pay money for a thing that's free?
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was crazy times.
Yeah.
It was the worst strip club ever too.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. For some reason, I feel like we were in New Mexico. Maybe it wasn't even Colorado. I don't know where we were.
Yeah.
It was. No, New Mexico. That was a different time. It was Colorado. Yeah, but still, it wasn't very good
Sure.
because we weren't by Denver. We were out somewhere somewhere random.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to figure out where we were because I don't remember.
Yeah, just so to know to avoid that strip club again.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever been to a strip club.
they're really not exciting.
I mean, yeah.
All the ones in Amarillo closed down. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I remember like when reading in the paper when like Cheetah's closed, because it was like a huge deal because like he was like not paying, the owner wasn't like paying the workers, like the wait staff or whatever. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I've only been to Cassidy's and what was the other one that closed down before that? The Jungle.
Really?
Yeah, and then I wasn't into either one of them.
Yeah.
It just feels weird. I just felt bad for the strippers, honestly.
Sure.
It's like you got to do this all day. I just feel
Yeah.
you should be respecting yourself.
Right.
You're better than this, but also you should empower women. So it's like I support you, but also don't. But I'm in the middle.
Right. That's a weird thing to navigate because there's a lot of conversation about sex workers and legitimizing the sex industry. But like for me, I'm sort of torn about that.
Yeah, me too.
Because like it's like not everyone that goes into the sex industry really wants to.
Yeah, I mean a lot of them got raped as children or something.
Right.
Something awful happened.
Right. Well, if you go out west further, like a lot of them are people trying to get into, the movie industry. But there's
blowing off Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Harvey. I bet he's a huge reason why the sex industry is so big. It's Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, I mean he's just the one that got caught.
That's true. I mean, back to Eyes Wide Shut. I bet you there's an entire organization of people up there that are just running amok and no one's talking about it, or they're afraid to talk about it.
Obviously, no one talked about Harvey Weinstein for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't think he did anything like unconsensual. I mean, he used his power and everything, but like
right, like he didn't actually didn't rape anybody.
Yeah, he didn't assault
per
anyone.
se, but that's also the thing is when you start talking about that stuff, it's like, there's still equally shitty and shouldn't have been done, but it was a completely different. Again, it comes back to the abuse had nothing to do with like the sex or the acts or whatever that was done. It was all about power, and that's always the case with an abuser. It's about power.
Faux show.
Yeah.
Intense. Indeed.
Goodness.
I feel like I don't want to wrap it up on molestation.
Yeah, that's really low.
Talk.
It's a really low thing. I could talk about wrestling some more.
Let's talk about who's your favorite wrestler.
I think we talked about this last time of my favorite wrestler. It's Sting. It's probably Sting.
He was one of my favorites.
Or Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, which that dude's doing stuff again.
I was always huge on the Undertaker.
Undertaker was dope.
I didn't realize how huge of a man that guy is.
Yeah,
he's like 6'9".
He's a pretty big dude.
He's a monster.
Truthfully, I don't know if I want to talk about wrestling.
Yeah, me either. I'm afraid of it.
Yeah, well, and I just, I was this friend that I met up with at the 806. I was telling her about how I did, because we talked about the she worked at that sexual abuse awareness open mic or whatever, and that you were at. Yeah. And when you told all those jokes, and we talked about that, and I talked about how it's like, Matt's a good dude, and I did his podcast, and we talked about wrestling and comedy for like an hour or two. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, why am I telling this person that because I don't like actively talk about wrestling unless someone wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because like actually the majority of people are not into it.
You talked to her about wrestling?
I didn't talk to her about wrestling.
Oh.
I just admitted that I watched wrestling, and that was kind of a huge deal for me. Like,
nerd.
Yeah, it's probably the nerdiest thing that I'm into. Well, I don't know. Yeah, because I would gladly talk about superhero movies with anybody, but wrestling, I keep that shit under wraps if I can help it.
That's funny.
But
that sexual abuse thing, she was probably like, you talk to that guy.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, that was just like, that's like the worst introduction to Matt Viegas you can have is to.
Oh, man.
Because
I didn't know it was sexual abuse week.
Yeah. Well, because that was I think one of the first. It was either the first or second time I heard you do the whole like feminist joke, and it was just like we talked about this last episode. Yeah. You couldn't write a funnier sketch than telling the jokes you were telling that night with art all around you that had to do with sexual abuse, like no means no, and like all these things.
That was a rough set.
It was something, but yeah, no.
That's okay. I mean, a lot of people aren't gonna like me, and that's kind of how it goes,
right?
So.
Well, and the thing that I've noticed, and we were talking about this last episode too, is there was probably a time where you were doing this jokes you were doing were simply to get a reaction. And that's just not the case so much anymore. Just as you're growing, like there are still things I think that you do probably to get a reaction, but for the most part, it's just about what's funny, rather than trying to shock somebody. Because there's a lot of comics that'll see, the big names that do that, like Tosh or Jesselnick, or like I think D'Elia's even kind of like that too, where they say things that get a rise out of people. Bill Burr is also
Bill Burr's the best at that.
But for them, it's like coming from like especially I think with Bill Burr, it's coming from a sincere place. I think Jesselnick is like he sort of likes to troll people, but like new comics see that and they're like, okay, the goal is to offend people, and that's never really the case. It's more of see how absurd this is. And see why we think it's okay for someone to think this way or do this thing or be this whatever, and get people to be uncomfortable enough and be like, why are you laughing at that? That's for me has been always really interesting about people like even Louis, the things that he'll say, like that whole SNL bit where he talks about, like a pedophile, and it's like for a pedophile, it's like that for him to think that for a pedophile to do that, they have to think that it's pretty great to do that. You know what I mean? Like, and people are like, why would you say that?
That was a great monologue.
Yeah. And it's like, well, because it's absurd and it's weird, and for us to not talk about it, like, kind of keeps it in the shadows still.
Yeah.
And that's what I've loved about comedy, is it makes you have to think about, why is this absurd to me?
For sure.
It sometimes like makes you have to kind of confront some things that you might have normalized.
Yeah, Louis always pushed the envelope too.
Yeah,
I can't wait for his special.
Did you listen to his Governor's Ball or whatever thing, that set that came out?
I didn't listen to all of it. I've listened probably the first 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, I just heard the part that a lot of people had.
Yeah, but I thought that part was funny.
No, yeah, I would say there is some.
I would agree with that sentiment in a sense.
Right. Well, and I understand. I understand people's frustrations, but yeah, no, it was still. I don't know. That's a hard thing with comics. It's like,
and it wasn't his finished product.
Right.
He was working through that bit.
Right.
So
yeah,
it could be totally different by the time he gets it ready for a special.
Right.
He wasn't even supposed to be recorded.
Yeah. The thing that got me that made me laugh was like, my life's already over. So like, what are you going to do? You can boo me and ooh me all you want. But like, he's like, my life's already done. So.
I thought it was funny because he addressed it about how much money he lost.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. But,
which is what he needs to do. Like he took the time off. I think it's just weird. We're in a place where it's like you can't forgive anyone anymore, and I don't know why we hold celebrities to the standard of unforgiveness, which is ridiculous. Like he took a year off, let him come back, and decide. You know, I don't think his career should be over just because of that.
Right.
I mean, it was bad, but
right.
I mean, what can you do? You apologize. You own up to it. You take a break.
Yeah.
What else does he need to do to make everyone happy?
I think a lot of people are really obsessed with justice, but they're like their form of justice. Because I think that the desire for justice is a natural feeling in humans, but we operate on extremes now, so we want to see the most extreme form of justice for people. Maybe because we don't necessarily get to experience that justice in the face of our own injustices that we've been in part of, and you pile that on with like outrage culture. People want to be angry. They're looking for reasons to be angry.
Yeah.
It's just a really bad. It's honestly like a really bad culture for comics right now because they can't say anything, you know. But also, I think that's probably a really fun place to try to navigate.
Ricky Gervais made a really good point about like you can still say anything, you just have to be prepared for it. You just have to be ready to. I forgot the words he said, but he put it very eloquently, and it was like, you can still say whatever the fuck you want. Right. You just have to be funny.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. Because like I think we were talking about this, not to like we were talking about you, me and my friend, and just kind of talking about how like there are some things that I think if it were any other comic at the 806, there are some things that you say that I think Thomas would have umbrage with, but because the way you deliver it, it's funny, you know what I mean? But like if someone else were to get up there and say something similar to what you say, they just wouldn't be, and not deliver it in a funny way, it'd be like, no, you got to get the hell off the stage. But because it's funny and we know that it's jokes, like it works. You make it work, you know, and that really comes down to it. Like you really can, you can say whatever the hell you want, but like as a comic, if it's not funny, then you're just an asshole.
Yeah, and it just comes off as a terrible thing.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny. I didn't think that closer. I didn't know if that would land. That's actually the best it's ever landed anywhere.
It was damn near perfect, dude. Oh my goodness. Like it was one of those things where like if you could orchestrate it, like if you ever did a special and you could orchestrate it to where it gets to that, and you just like can say that line and drop the mic and walk away, music hits. It was
worked great.
It worked out really well.
That was fun. But yeah, that's one of those jokes where it's like, oh, you're insulting all these groups of people. Yeah. If I would have told that joke on the night with all the other rape jokes, it would have been equally egregious just because of the setting and the vibe, and everything else, you know. But when I tell it in that context on Valentine's Day, it's funny, it's a joke, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and also my friend I was talking with, the thing that she did appreciate was that you don't really discriminate against who you talk about. And I see that even just in the way that you are critical of things too, not just your jokes, but the way that you are just like on Twitter and everything. Is like you really are an equal opportunity, like, no, if you deserve to be shit on, you're gonna get shit on. Like
that's what I go for.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're right or left or whatever, you know. And it's a very like Trey Parker, like Matt Stone kind of thing.
Those are my heroes.
You know, those guys were, and I think McFarlane is like that too. Any successful comedy like writers, they've been willing to make fun of both sides or every side. You know?
I think it was. Do you know Kevin, the big black comic, Kevin Mason? I had him on here, and he said, he's like, man, I love the gay community. I love all of them, but don't think I'm not gonna make fun of you.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that should be completely. I think it's better to do that. It feels like you have an agenda if you're just gonna harp on one particular side.
Yeah,
and in reality, you probably do have an agenda. You know, like I have to imagine. I mean, for instance, like Bill Maher, he's really kind of one-sided a lot of times. It seems like.
Yeah. It seems like he's gotten more one-sided.
Yeah, and
lately,
I think that's because it's the comedy platform is for him to push an agenda or push his bias.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you take if you take comics who are going to make fun of both.
Yeah.
I think Colbert did a really good job at that. Even though it was like a lot of satire, he was like, that helped him too, though, is because he was a satirical right-wing conservative.
Yeah, the Colbert Report was phenomenal.
So he's making fun of the right wings by how he is as a person, but then he was also able to poke fun at the left as this right-wing conservative character.
The left was able to enjoy it because they knew it was satire.
Right.
And they're like, oh, he's pretending he's conservative, and it's
Right.
It was the whole thing. It was funny.
Yeah.
But now he's just gone all. See, that's the thing with, like we talked about CNN. Like, they're all going just in on Trump, and it's like less funny.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm gonna make Trump jokes for an hour.
Well, it's like easy.
Yeah.
It's like easy. It'd be like if we like had watched an NBA game, but they like lowered the rim. You know what I mean? And like, there were no fouls, and you could double dribble and everything. You could just basically like little league rules, but with NBA players.
Yeah, and now like Chelsea Handler and Amy Schumer and Sarah Silverman are all trying to be like woke, and just they're giving up on comedy pretty much to just do this political movement, and it's ridiculous. Like, Sarah Silverman used to say the most offensive things I've ever heard in my life, and she's over here just, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know why you would give up comedy to yell at the president.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, because like even if Trump doesn't, even if he doesn't make it for the next 4 years, like he doesn't get reelected, well, then what will they have accomplished, or what will they have then? The platform of making fun of this one president, at best, is 8. You'll have 8 years of material.
Yeah.
And then at that point, once he's out of office, you're just like, now you're just telling old jokes from a time. They're not timeless.
George W. Bush joke in 2016 or 2018.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, so that's,
And Obama wasn't even easy to make fun of.
He really wasn't. He was too cool for that.
He was way too cool.
But yeah, I think you want to be topical, but also like that can't be the entirety of what you do.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
No, and I'm probably I don't really pick sides on stage. I don't get into politics. Like, I'll address politics, but then if I pick a side, it's usually the opposite of what I think, because I think the opposite of what I think is funnier.
Yeah.
So that's what I go for. Like, I have abortion jokes that I think are hilarious.
Yeah.
But I'm mostly pro-life.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing, is like being able to laugh at your own like viewpoints. Because I think there are a lot of things that are said about Christians that I think are fucking hilarious.
For sure.
And true. Because they're so absurd. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I mean, they're just jokes towards evangelicals are hilarious, and some of the absurd ways that we approach things. I say we. It's so weird, because I don't feel like I am. I don't feel like I'm a part of that tribe, but I still kind of am. I still believe what they believe, but I just have a hard time relating with it right now. But all that to say, yeah, I think if you can laugh at your own thoughts, and poke fun at it, it's good.
Faux show. All right, we are 2 hours in. We can wrap it up now. I know, huh?
That's probably as long as I went last time too.
Good combos. I think we did just under, but yeah.
So,
faux show. Any last words?
Yeah. For anyone listening, I used to say this all the time on stage, but it's gonna be okay. Like, everything's gonna be all right, and things might suck right now, but you're gonna be okay. And just wait. There'll be something coming. There's something coming good if you just wait long enough. And sometimes the waiting sucks, but that makes the thing really sweet when it finally shows up. So just please stay, and find people that love you. And if there aren't people that love you, go somewhere else. That's
Very well put. And if you have diarrhea for more than 3 days, you should probably contact a doctor.
Yeah, that too. That was the next part. Yeah, I was getting to that. But
it's a good segue.
That's all. That's all this has been about is diarrhea awareness. Like, all of the things I've been through is to get to a point where it's like, listen, you gotta get that shit. Check it out.
All right. Happy Black History Month. Stay black.